Welcome to the AskOkey podcast. Another Monday, another hour with AskOkey. Me, Pete, and over here, the prof as usual. We hope you are all feeling well, rested and energetic, and sit back, pour your bourbon or gin or whatever the beverage is, and come and join us for the next 50 minutes or so. Don't forget, before we get started, like and subscribe, please, in that order. You are our sponsors, and we depend upon you and your faithful following to do what we do. Prof, welcome. Good day, I suppose. Good evening, good morning, good day.
Thank you, Pete.
Not sure when these fellas are watching, but at some point. And how are we, Prof?
We're doing quite well, Pete.
Good.
All things considered.
All things considered, yes. Okay. Yeah, it's very, very hot, and I see you are dressed for the weather.
Yes, I decided to forego the jacket today and
Amazing.
try the waistcoat in the place of the jacket, which I often preach is a substitute for a jacket during the warm season, or sort of for those who live in very tropical climates. That's why I always get a three-piece suit when I can. That way you can sort of dispense with the jacket if the occasion calls for it.
Yes, but a rare sight, Prof, in shirt sleeves, albeit not your average shirt sleeves. We have a French cuff,
Yes.
and obviously a pressed shirt. But still, Prof in shirt sleeves, everybody, I think this is a first on international television. And this is what, Prof? It's not a seersucker.
It is not a seersucker. It's actually wool. It's a wool and linen blend. However, it's sort of design, or it takes the design of the fabric itself, takes inspiration from your traditional seersucker.
Yeah.
So I think for those who are looking for a summery cloth without dealing with the particular idiosyncrasies of seersucker, as you know, is cotton. And it just doesn't drape well.
No.
It doesn't drape well. And if it doesn't drape well, that means it's just difficult to tailor. But it's very suitable for those who live in very warm tropical climates. So I think this was an attempt by Fox to replicate the visual aesthetic of the traditional seersucker. However, doing so with completely different fabric, in this case, a blend of wool and linen.
And what weight are we talking about there?
This has got to be somewhere in the 350 gram range. I'd say between 300 and 350 grams.
So about 12 or 11 and a half, 12 ounces.
Exactly, about 10 to 12 ounces.
Okay.
10 to 12 ounces.
So that's strong enough to take a shape.
That's earthy enough to hold shape, to hold a crease, and to drape well. While the composition of the cloth itself obviously is what allows it to serve or function as a summer cloth.
Yeah,
allows it to breathe.
And these are sort of blackish stripes, aren't they?
Sort of gray.
Or dark gray
sort
stripes.
Of dark gray.
Yes.
Dark gray stripes. Very similar to what you might get in where your traditional seersucker will be sort of light blue stripes with white alternating stripes.
Yeah.
But I've also seen them done with gray, pink, other colors, sort of lime green, done in the seersucker pattern. But the traditional seersucker, of course, as you know, is light blue, light blue stripes alternating with white or cream background.
We've got one, I think, on the website. Well, you had one made up a couple of years back, I think. It was I can't remember if it was a single or a double-breasted.
It was a double-breasted.
Double-breasted seersucker, yeah.
Yes.
And the thing is that the stripes, I mean, this is interesting because these are dark gray stripes, but you could, I suppose, have dark blue.
You could, in theory. The problem with going too dark with these stripes is that the contrast is going to be too jarring. So you usually go for softer alternating. For instance, this is a gray, but it's a very soft gray.
It has little white lines in it,
some white threads in it. So it's a very soft gray. Similar to the blue you would use for a traditional seersucker. It's sort of like a baby blue.
Yep.
sort of a light baby blue. When you use a dark alternating color, it's just the contrast is too sharp and it's just too jarring. It just looks very busy from afar.
Right.
However, when you use sort of a very lightly saturated color to alternate the white, it looks almost white from a distance, or it looks very light from a distance.
Yep.
And then on close inspection, of course, you can see the stripes.
You can see the stripes. Yeah, I find that baby blue is it's a bit bland. But then I can get your point about having, if the stripes are too dark, and it sort of looks like a giant shirt, doesn't it?
Exactly. It just looks too,
Which you don't want.
too jarring, especially when you have it top to bottom.
Yes, I mean, this one here vaguely reminds me of ticking. You know, sort of what railwaymen wear, or used to wear. Those blue and white, those blue and sort of or very dark blue and white stripes. But it's an interesting idea at any rate. Yes, good for you. And you've got the standard AskOkey single-breasted waistcoat.
That is correct. Standard classic 6-button waistcoat with four pockets.
And those little lapels.
And these ones come with lapels,
yes,
exactly.
That's right, yes.
Of course, we also make them without lapels if the customer requires.
Yeah, indeed. And you undo the top button of the waistcoat.
Yes, I typically undo the top button because I like to show, just to pop my tie up a little bit.
Right, yes. Well, if you've got it, flaunt it, as they say. You don't want to hide it completely. Because our waistcoats, the AskOkey waistcoats, are cut quite high up.
Cut quite high, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of waistcoats tend to cut a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But we cut them quite high. And I've explained this before. I mean, this is just my own personal taste. I feel as though rather than use a tie pin or brooch to kind of hold up your tie, when you cut a high waistcoat, you're able to use the waistcoat as almost as a tie pin to hold up your. I mean, for me, it's just sort of a style, for it's around sort of something different.
Yeah, because you don't want the tie just lying completely flat.
Exactly.
Like mine, for example, is here. Yeah, so that means that you can pull it up and give it some shape. Yes, interesting stuff. And a white shirt goes with that very well, I think.
Yes, with a seersucker, just because of the stripes. I mean, I've worn this with sort of a light pink. But since I'm not wearing a coat, I think, the shirt needs to be very simple.
Right, yes.
If you're wearing a coat, then most of the shirt is covered anyway. You just see the collar.
Yeah.
But if you were to wear a collar shirt with this, it can sort of come off as a little bit too strong on the eye.
I was thinking.
So I thought, white just provides sort of a canvas.
Yes, it does. Yes.
For everything else too.
Absolutely. I guess you could have a pale blue one, or a pale gray one even.
Possibly, but something fairly neutral that doesn't detract from all the other elements.
Yeah. So the trouble is, you see that you look in the cupboard and you find a shirt, a check shirt, for example, or a striped shirt, and I can imagine some people sort of putting on a broad striped shirt with that, which would be just too much. So because of the stripes and the spots on the tie, you really want something plain behind
Correct. I certainly wouldn't attempt this with a striped shirt.
No.
It would just be too much.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It would. Even for you, who's been known to be fairly flamboyant on occasion, yes. Now, I noticed that the cuffs of the trousers, Prof, if I may, they have a little tape inside.
Yes.
There we go.
Right under here.
So this is a good idea because they keep their shape that way. And what else? Does it prevent them from falling apart?
Well, the main function of these is just to keep sort of, especially with full cut trousers, sometimes when you're walking, you run the risk of the trousers getting caught in your heels.
Yeah.
You run the risk of sort of the trousers getting caught in your heels. So these, the thread here, it's almost basically sort of a reinforcing strip.
Yes.
We use here to reinforce the hem.
Yes.
So it doesn't get, doesn't come loose easily.
Yeah. And are these look like triple F fulls? These trousers.
Yes, these are the full cut
The full
trousers. These
cut,
are the
yes,
full
indeed.
cut trousers.
Good, good.
You know, I call them the fun suit trousers.
The fun suit trousers, yes. Yes, we have to keep the flag flying on the full cut. Curiously enough, on the internet, various places, I've been seeing people start to talk about what they call full cut. It's pretty timid, full cut at this stage. No doubt it'll expand, but people are starting to say, no, you should have a fuller cut. And they're actually doing a sort of yesterday and today kind of comparison. And today's version is definitely, when it's not as, in AskOkey terms, it wouldn't be called full, but in regular terms, yes, it's called full. But I think we're still a couple of seasons away from these being mainstream, Prof.
I mean, these may never be mainstream. It's just, again,
Yes.
For me, this is just artistic expression.
Indeed.
And so, as you always disclaim, you don't necessarily have to have yours made like Proff.
Indeed.
The whole idea of Bespoke is that we can make whatever you
That's
want.
right. That's right.
This is just, for me, a lot of the things I make for myself are just sort of an outlet, a creative outlet
absolutely.
for myself. And these items, I wear them very purposefully. And so I wouldn't wear something like this to a business meeting or a board meeting. But if I had a fun picnic on a Saturday afternoon and I wanted to look dressed up, I would, and I wanted to look dressed up in a suit.
Yes.
I mean, this is the sort of suit I would wear.
Yes.
And the cut I would wear.
Yes.
So it doesn't look like you're showing up to a party in a business suit. It's a suit, but it's a fun suit. So I think the idea behind sort of the various cuts that I personally wear is that each of them are designed for a specific purpose.
Sure.
And so for people who say, oh no, the trousers are too this or the jacket is too this. I mean, to this or to that compared to what?
Yes.
So unless their frame of reference is very specific to sort of a conventional office suit, which this is not.
No.
And which a lot of the things I wear is not. So I think, people need to think a little bit, before you sort of say, oh, this is to this or this is to that. You have to ask yourself, what is the point of the garment?
Yeah,
What is the purpose of the garment?
Absolutely right. And this is what the clothing team always asks people when they want to place an order, when they do the pre-order consultation. They always say, well, what have you got in mind? Where are you going to use it? And I remember 2 or 3 years ago now talking to a chap who said he goes to symphony concerts and he was looking for something that he could wear when he attends a symphony concert. And he thought right away, oh, it has to be a suit. And we talked about it and said, well, no, in fact, it doesn't these days at any rate. And there's a variety of things. But yes, you always have to ask, what are you going to use it for? And mind you, I was thinking when you said boardroom, I mean, if it's your own board, then, by all means, if it's a people that you know, do you know what I mean? It's a big difference between being with people that you know and people that you don't know.
Well, it depends. I mean, even if you were my own board, and if it was a proper corporate board meeting, of course, I would dress accordingly.
Right, okay.
And since at least I have the privilege of being able to, I would wear the appropriate outfit for that occasion.
Right, yes.
So whether it's my boardroom or not, I mean, this is something I would never wear to a boardroom. I could wear it to my office or to my creative studio.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
If I were sort of going to the workshop or sort of to the design shop, I would wear this. But if I were going to meet with, potential partner or joint venture partner or one of our bankers or accountants or lawyers or an investor, or board executives, I said, obviously I would dress accordingly.
Yeah, no, it's not the suit to wear if you want to scare people or you want to, it's not what we call a power suit. And you wear it with the spectator shoes, and that's an interesting choice again. We don't get to see those very often, Prof.
Well, it's a summer outfit, Very typically, the seersucker suits are worn with either spectators, also known as correspondent shoes, or white box.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Or dirty box, as they call it in the South.
Sort
in the
of grayish.
US. Exactly.
Light gray. Yeah.
So it's just it's a summer pair of shoes, summer dress shoes, and you pair them usually with your summer suits.
Yeah. There you go.
In linen or something like this, in a sort of I might call this a full seersucker.
A full seersucker.
Full
seersucker. Yes. Yes.
FAUX.
A faux seersucker. Ah, right. Okay. Yes. Yes. I think we could say that an improvement perhaps on the regular seersucker. Although you do have now for the regular seersucker suit, given that it's made of cotton and doesn't drape very well, flat front trousers, I take it.
Well, I mean, you can have them made either way. Flat front or pleated doesn't necessarily come down to the cloth. Depends on sort of your specific fit. So if you have big thighs or big legs, or you like roomy, a little bit of room to move around, then pleats are always the way to go.
Sure.
And even if you made them in flat front, they still wouldn't drape as well as, say, wool.
Yeah.
So it comes down to taste and the matter of choice.
Okay. Now I was thinking because of cotton, and we often recommend the flat front for the cotton, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's sort of like the cotton. Most cotton trousers, most people who go for cotton don't do cotton in dress trousers. They do it for casual trousers, like your chinos.
Yeah, sure.
So if you're going to make a chino, of course, it's a casual trouser. We often recommend, going with flat front.
Yeah.
Because pleats are inherently more dressy.
Yes, that's true.
So if you're having casual trousers made, even if they're not in cotton, right? If you're having casual trousers made, in linen or any other casual fabric, then flat front is something you might want to consider.
Yes, I need to keep that in mind. So, for example, tweed, you could have flat front.
Possibly.
Tweeds are more casual.
It's a more casual cloth, but again, tweed is sort of it drapes well. It's got a good hand to it. So even for my tweeds, I prefer to do them, with the trousers with pleats.
Interesting. Great stuff. So we're off to a start there with Proff's latest, and as I said, shirt sleeves, probably the first, and who knows, maybe the last time you'll ever see Proff in shirt sleeves on television. We had a talk, I think it was the last podcast or a couple of podcasts ago, about shoe construction. And you remember you were telling us about the Blake shoes and the Goodyear shoes.
Correct.
And somebody wrote a comment. He said that Blake welts don't have to be glued. They can be sewn. And I don't know if we'd slandered Mr. Blake by suggesting that all his shoes were glued or his welts were glued. But this chap said no. He said they don't have to be glued. They could be sewn.
He makes a good point. Again, I'm not a cordwainer or a shoemaker, and whatever I know about shoes is just sort of information or knowledge picked up from, my various studies. But Blake construction, or rapid Blake, they call it rapid Blake construction. It can be sewn, it can be sort of stitched, but it's also, there's a lot of gluing, there's a lot of glue used to put the shoe together. Well, even with your Goodyear welted shoes, there's still sort of some glue used at the edge, to sort of...
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
To hold down the cork. There's a cork layer that goes in. So there's a bit of gluing that goes on, even in Goodyear shoes, but they're used specifically to hold down the internals, for instance, to hold the cork down. Whereas with glued shoes, they're just basically using glue to hold the sole to the body. So I'm not going to go into the technicals of it because, again, I'm not a cordwainer or shoemaker. I'm hardly an expert on that. But I do know in terms of the quality or longevity or the robustness of the construction of the shoe, Usually it's in an order: rapid Blake construction, Goodyear welds, and hand welds.
And hand welds.
And that's what I was trying to communicate in that
There we go.
reel.
So we're not dumping on Blake's by any means. It's just a fact of the business. Now, speaking of shoes, we had a question. Somebody said, "Can you wear running shoes with full cut trousers, not a suit, but can you wear running shoes with," and he said, "canvas sneakers," which is kind of running shoes, "with a full cut trousers?" And I would suppose, yes, you can. Had a sort of casual pair made.
Well, you saw my response to the question.
No, I didn't.
Well, I did respond to the question from a follower on YouTube, and my answer was absolutely no.
Ah, okay.
I mean, it looks just silly. It's sort of what they call sort of a dad look.
Ah, is it?
Wearing
Okay.
sort of dress trousers with sneakers.
I wonder if it depends what kind of sneakers it is.
No kind of sneakers at all.
Okay.
I mean, it just looks bad, period.
Okay.
It just looks terrible and bad, period.
There you
If you're
go.
wearing dress trousers in wool, then wear dress shoes.
Indeed.
If you must wear sneakers, then wear jeans or
Right.
chinos.
Yeah. Be fully casual.
Yeah,
Or
but
fully the
I
other way.
don't see. I mean, I don't see a place for sneakers, any sort of sneakers with properly tailored dress trousers.
There you go. Sorry. Not going to happen. Casual, for example, chinos, those white chinos, which people wear on boats and things, perfectly acceptable. Otherwise, sorry, no, absolutely not. Or at least not in Studio One. Well, obviously, you can do what you want in the privacy of your own home. And so this is interesting, Prof, because you get people asking questions. They're curious, you see, about what you can actually do or what you can get away with. And we come back to discussion that we've had a couple of times, prompted by commenters out there in the ether, who say that we put down rules. We lay down rules for people. And we've often said, and I think it bears repeating, we've often said that these rules are not rules in the sense that the law of gravity is a rule, or that a law passed by a government is a rule. They're more like good ideas, if I can call them that. You say them for a reason, in other words. So, everybody, it's not a law that you can't wear running shoes with your trousers. It's just really doesn't make sense. And hence the fact Prof lays down what you might call the rule. And we had quite a kerfuffle on, I suppose, Instagram or YouTube a couple of months back, didn't we? Remember about this? There was this sort of rebellion out there about AskOkey laying down rules. So that's what we're doing. Now, I had an interesting question, a curious question. And the fellow said that, he said, how big should a coat hanger be? Because apparently he's quite big, his jackets are quite big, and the coat hangers are all too small for him. Do you get your coat hangers custom made?
Well, I don't have mine custom made, but I'm not sure. I mean, there's an average dimension that most body facturers use. So, I mean, if your shoulders are just sort of an inch or two wider, it's not gonna make much of a difference.
No.
But if you're a giant or if you're a bodybuilder and your shoulders are that wide, then of course you need special made hangers.
Yes.
But for most people who are of average size, let's say between size, ready to wear size, let's say 38 or even 36 to like 45, right?
Yeah.
You know, you should be able to work with your conventional
Yes.
dimension hangers.
Or to be able to. One moment, Prof. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor and station identification. See you in a moment. Are you the best dressed man in the room wherever you go? If not, why not? It's not that difficult. AskOkey makes bespoke suits, jackets, trousers, and other garments for discerning men all over the world. So next time you look around and feel that you're not quite presentable, give us a call, send us a mail, or send us a direct message on the social media channels, and we'll kit you up to look like a king. Bye for now. Welcome back. Hope you didn't fall asleep or wander off in the brief interval there. Prof was telling us about coat hangers. Now, this may not be the most gripping topic for some of you, but clearly there are people out there who exercise their minds' imaginations about coat hangers. And in fact, Prof, there is a rather famous influencer, or at least character out there in our our sphere, who started his career peddling coat hangers. They're very nice coat hangers.
Yes, and I am not going to promote him on my channel.
There we are. So I didn't mention his name.
Because he's made it very clear he's not going to promote me on his channel.
I see, okay.
So we shall let sleeping dogs lie.
Indeed, but there's clearly...
Sorry, guys, if I'm being petty, but hey, in business, right?
Yeah, but clearly...
You scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Indeed, well, yes. But clearly there is obviously an interest out there in coat hangers, and I was asking, do you get them specifically made? I suppose you could get bespoke coat hangers if you thought it necessary. Some of them, I notice, some of them have an actual shape on them, but they're quite wide in what you call the blade part.
Yes.
Some of them come with a bar for your trousers, and some of them don't. So there's obviously a whole design
whole slew of
there.
designs. I mean, your basic coat hanger, of course, it should sort of have like the wider part in the shoulder. And it's very simple. The whole idea of a coat hanger is to maintain the shape of the coat, particularly at the shoulders. So, and that's why for high quality hangers, they're always made with sort of the broader ends.
Yeah, it's sort of like a shoehorn, that sort of shape,
ends,
isn't it?
Right,
Yes.
and it's very, the sole function of that is just to maintain the shape of the shoulders. Now, the problem when you have very broad shoulders, of course, is that it's not going to work for you because your shoulders are further set apart, set out. So the broader part of the hanger is probably going to end up being sort of about mid-shoulder.
Yeah, that's right.
And it still doesn't support your shoulder, the shoulder parts effectively, or the shoulder construction or the sleeve head. So for the gentleman in question, I'm not sure how broad shouldered he is, but if he's really concerned about that, then he has to have them custom made.
Custom made, or if he has a workshop in his basement, just
you can make them himself.
You can make them yourself, and who knows? Who knows? There may be a career in that.
It might be a commercial opportunity
waiting for you. Yes, I mean, plastic coat hangers are just fine. Wood looks very nice, and it's obviously a source of some satisfaction to people to have all wood hangers. But
well, there's a reason why wood hangers exist, especially cedar.
Right,
because cedar tends to keep away moth.
Oh, really?
Yes.
The
cedar helps with keeping away moth, and it also sort of helps soak up moisture.
Right. Okay.
So if the garment is damp for any reason, right, when you have natural cedar, it also soaks up moisture.
Is that so?
So that's the reason why shoe trees and hangers are made from cedar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just to soak up moisture effectively.
Okay. I always had shoe trees that were made of plastic, so I suppose I don't move in the
Well,
circles.
the plastic keeps the shape, but proper shoe trees are made of cedar. Cedar wood, cedar block, and the entire purpose is just to basically to take up the excess moisture in the shoe.
Amazing.
Just to prolong the life of the leather.
Now we've started, I don't know if we produce coat hangers or we've started sending people hangers, haven't we, with our jackets?
Correct, but those are mainly just, again, for shipping the garment and for
okay.
maintaining the shape.
Yeah.
Cedar hangers are quite heavy.
Yes.
And so we did consider wood hangers, but they're going to be extremely heavy and just sort of, they're going to be expensive to ship.
Yeah.
They just add to the weight of the garment, of the package unnecessarily. So we ship them with plastic. I mean, they're shaped.
Yep.
So they're molded. They've been sort of molded in a molding machine to recreate sort of that perfect shape, and perfect fit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it preserves the shape of the garment while it's being shipped to you. And then and it's got our brand on it. It's a branded hanger.
Yep.
And so when you receive the jacket, of course, you can either choose to keep the hanger, or if you're really that anal and like the gentleman in question, then order properly sized cedar hangers if they're so
Nice.
meaningful
Yes.
enough that you're willing to pay,
Yes.
pay the extra to go that extra mile.
Yeah.
Then why not?
Yeah. Well, a handmade, decent-sized cedar hanger would fetch a fair price.
I'm sure.
You've got the wood and you've got the time to go into making it. But then let's think about this for a second. The enormous number of things that you can do, which most of us don't bother doing. Like I said, most of us have, if we have shoe trees at all, we have plastic shoe trees, or we have plastic hangers because that's what the garments come with. I didn't know that about cedars, and I didn't know that about cedar and moths. Certain parts of the world, Prof, moths can be a real big problem.
Absolutely.
And did you remember the old moth balls? I don't know if people still have them.
I think they're still used.
With that distinctive camphor smell.
The camphor smell is just absolutely nasty smell. I doubt that you would find them in our contemporary times, but you're right. They were used they were ubiquitous actually. Growing up, I remember I used to have, my mother she had these expensive fabrics. They call them lace.
Right,
Lace
yes.
fabrics they would order, like made in Holland.
Yeah.
And she would keep them in a trunk. And, these are like special occasion clothes. Captain, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like those George wrappers, right? These things are very, very expensive. Even back then, they were very expensive. And they would drop camphor balls.
Yeah.
They would drop camphor balls in the box.
Yes.
Just to keep the moth away.
Yes.
So yeah, it used to be quite a common practice, but I don't think that I don't remember last time I saw those things.
No.
It's been a while.
Yes, I'm just trying to think.
There's so many other ways today to prevent moth. There's now today you have controlled air.
Sure.
Back then there was no air conditioning.
No, indeed.
And
No.
so with the humidity,
Yep.
inviting the moth and everything. But now we have sort of temperature controlled closets. We have a bit more control over the environment itself. I think sort of the need for things like that, chemical means to keep away moth, has somehow subsided over the years.
Yeah, that distinctive smell in the cupboards. And you find mothballs in the pockets of jackets.
Right.
If you pulled them out and hadn't worn them for a while, you find a
We'll
mothball.
find mothballs in the pocket.
Well, it's you do what you have to. I remember a few summers ago, my leather shoes turned all green, and I had sort of mold growing on them. Such was the humidity where in the summer where we live. If you've got a cupboard that's next to the wall, next to the outside wall, it's very, very warm in there, and they all turn green. Apparently, has somebody been in Jakarta told me this was a real problem in the summers there, with leather things getting damaged because of the weather. Yeah, and if you think about it, that used to play a part in sort of the longevity of people's garments, because in certain climates they just get worn out. We showed a few weeks ago a video of one of Proff's old creations. And we had a very kind comment from somebody who said he really appreciated Proff's humility in critiquing his earlier look. So I thought I would, if you hadn't seen that comment, I thought I would bring that up to you, because we don't often get praise of that kind. But clearly, yes, because I remember we discussed it. It was the dove gray suit. We discussed it in some length, and clearly this chap was impressed by the fact that you were quite willing to comment on the.
Well, why not, Pete?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
why not? Everything in life is a process. Every single skill, there's a grade to it. There's a sort of a
Absolutely,
gradient to
yes,
it. So
yes.
you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
And I think every now and then, one must reflect on where you've come from.
Sure.
To see how far you've come, one, but also to provide handrails for those who are sort of at that stage.
Yep. Yep.
It's always, when you talk about these things in abstraction, whether it's our Drape cut or other cuts, right? When you talk about them in abstraction, it doesn't, a lot of people don't have the experience or imagination to grasp it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
pictures, they say, tell 1,000 words. And so when you juxtapose that old image against the current cut or style, now it makes sense.
Yes, in a way, you can't get to B without first going through A.
Absolutely.
If you know what I mean.
Absolutely. So I think also to make sense of the whatever style or whatever cut or whatever philosophy we espouse today, one must be willing to reach back, or at least sort of to compare it against something else.
Yeah, indeed.
Right? You
yes.
can't just talk about an idea in isolation.
Indeed, yes.
In a vacuum. So everything is relative at the end of the day. So if you're going to sort of define a standard, it has to be defined against something else. And at least for me, my knowledge band includes sort of, I wouldn't call them prior mistakes, but it's just sort of my prior journey.
Indeed.
And so using that as a template to provide that reference against whatever we're doing currently, it makes absolute sense.
Yes, but that's, Prof, that's what you would call
So
being
I wouldn't
alive,
call
isn't it?
Again, that is all to say that I wouldn't call it, there is, humility is a stretch. It's a stretch, it's not to say that I was ashamed of or
No,
that
indeed.
what I was
No,
wearing
no,
was shameful
no.
in that sense. So I wouldn't say, I think humility is a stretch. I just sort of said it, I would call it sort of intellectual honesty.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I noticed this in my day job. Jan and I will look back at work that we did 2 or 3 years ago and think, oh, crumbs. Now, it was, at the time, we thought it was
Super.
cutting
Absolutely.
edge stuff. And you look back, and really, every year, it's like sort of starting again.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed this with, for example, with some of our outputs in the company. Clearly, they're all good, but they keep getting better. And you've noticed this with some of the trouser cuts, for example.
Yeah, I mean, just like in 2 years, we might look back at what we're doing today and say, "Oh my God!" But I mean, progress is it should be constant.
That's
So
what
if
progress
we're not,
is.
If we're not, if we can look forward, look into the future 2 years and sort of say, "Oh well, we're doing a lot better than we were doing it sort of now today," then we're not progressing. So I do look forward to 2 years and 3 years from now when I can look back to today and say, okay, wow, look at all the things we improved on.
Even though we were doing our best effort
At the time.
At the time. But then, if you think about it, I mean, somebody who saw a car, not a very primitive car, but I mean a car by about 1930, then looks back and thinks, well, hang on a second. Not that long ago, we thought that trains, steam engines, were as good as it was ever going to get, and now we've got this. Or I use the example of computers. Before we had an internet, we thought that just having a box that was stuck there, which couldn't really communicate with any other box, was just fine. But suddenly we realized, that wasn't really much use, was it? But for the time, it really was. And so, by the same token, as you say, in order to get to point B, you've got to go through a journey.
Correct.
But I think that if we took this idea for a second and expanded it out, a lot of life is like that, isn't it? You look back on things and you think, that was maybe not as good as it could have been, but we didn't know that. Or we were working with with what we had at the time, which seemed what...
It kind of reminds me of, again, we're sort of veering into the philosophical here. And, you know, a man was questioned about a decision he made some time ago. And the question is, do you regret it? Was it a good or bad decision? And his answer was very simple and sublime. He says, well, you know, today it seems like it was a bad decision. At the time, it seemed like a good decision.
There you go.
So, you know, he made a decision at the time based on the information that he had, or sort of he or she had at their disposal at the time.
Yeah.
And based on their own fair judgment,
Yes.
it seemed like a good idea at the time. But obviously, history or, you know, hindsight is 20/20.
It is. It is.
And so it's in the same way that I think that, you know, one ought not to be embarrassed or ashamed of their best work at the time, right? So if it was your best work at the time, then it was your best work.
Of course.
And if you look back on it 2 or 3 years later with some degree of, I wouldn't call it humility, I would call it humor.
Humor,
right?
yes.
Then it's progress. Then you made progress, which altogether it's a good thing.
And as you say, it's just being honest.
And it's just being intellectually honest.
It's just being intellectually honest to say, well, it was decent. It was a good piece of work, but we now know something different. And so we've moved on to that. The same, I suspect, is true with, for example, types of fabric. The same is true with, for example, we've been talking about shoes earlier today, shoe design and shoe construction. There's always going to be another way to do it. It's not necessarily 100% better, but it's different. And it may solve certain problems that the first iteration didn't solve. Gets to it in another way. Speaking of fabric, question, and I think a lot of people probably wonder about this. When we talk about fabric weights, and we say 370 grams or 400 grams and so forth, or we mention ounces, 12 ounces, 15 ounces, are we talking about running linear meters, or are we talking about square meters?
It's a GSM, gram per square meter.
So it's grams per square meter, but a meter is folded over, isn't it? So it's actually closer to 60 inches.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I understand the question.
A cloth meter isn't one. It's like this, isn't it? So when you say I want 5 yards, you actually get 5 yards, but a yard is folded over at 60 inches, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if you laid it out if you laid out 5 meters of cloth, right, it would measure, 5 meters. But the difference, you're asking about the weight.
The weight. So is it?
The length is the length. 5 meters of cloth is 5 meters of cloth. But you say 350 grams per square meter.
Yeah.
Right? So it's GSM.
So it's a square meter.
Is grams per square meter.
Per square meter, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if you had, I suppose, sort of like if you put a square meter of the fabric, if you were able to cut up a square meter,
yeah.
How much would it weigh?
Yes. There we go.
How much would it weigh? I mean, that's mathematically, right? That's what it means. Yeah. So if you took a piece of cloth and you cut a square meter of it, right, and you put it on a scale,
that's what you'd get.
That's what you'd get.
So when we say 370 grams per square meter, that's, well, a square meter is a bit bigger than a square yard, isn't it? Because the Americans would be using yards.
I still haven't been able to get my head around the whole yard conversion thing.
Really?
I mean, we use square meters or ounces.
Yeah, I mean, strictly speaking, you'd use grams with meters.
Yeah,
and you use ounces with yards.
We use ounces or square meters in terms of just the weight of the cloth. I think, if I'm not correct, ounces sort of more of a British thing, and grams are sort of more an American thing. I'm not sure which.
No, grams is metric, and of course America is resolutely not metric. When I was a boy in Canada, I can't remember when we went back to school one September and suddenly they were telling us all about grams. And I still think of ounces. I can't quite conceive what a gram is. I don't know. Did you use grams or ounces when you were young?
You know, I don't remember. I don't remember exactly which standard. But again, going back to fabrics, most vendors today or tailors will talk about cloth in terms of ounces or grams.
Or grams, either
And
one.
grams meaning grams per square meter. So, you know, I mean, there's still those who use yards, but it's at this point it's pretty archaic. I don't think that many people use that many tailors or fabric vendors use yards.
Yeah, okay. So a meter, for any of you out there don't know, a meter is 39 inches. A yard is 36 inches, as we know. So a meter is slightly bigger than a yard. Now, 360 grams would be 12 ounces because it's almost just over 30 grams to the ounce.
Yeah, 360 grams is about 12, 13 ounces.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my own rule of thumb I use. I know from experience that 300 grams is 10 ounces.
Right. There you go.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know that 10 ounces is exactly 300 grams. So I tend to work my way up from there. And just sort of having dealt with fabrics for a long time, I sort of have a sense when I see a fabric is quoted or listed at 375 grams, I know right away it's about 13, 14 ounces.
Yeah, and on the heaviness scale, you kind of place
about
it,
13, 14 ounces.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So if it's 400 grams, I know it's closer to 15 ounces, 16 ounces, and so on and so forth. But a lot of the fabrics you're going to find that are used for conventional tailoring are going to be somewhere between 300 and 400 ounces.
Grams,
now,
rather,
of course, if you want to go into more specialty fabrics or those who sort of prefer much heavier fabrics or our Italian brethren who sort of prefer tissue paper fabrics, you know, then you're going into sort of the, you know, sub 300, 220 grams, you know, 240 grams, even
about 8
grams.
ounces. Yes.
But I don't remember last time I wore anything, you know, of that sort. But there you have it. I typically use 10 ounce and 300 grams as the marker. And then sort of go from there.
Okay, great stuff. Prof, thank you very much. It's all we've got time for. We have to continue this about the weights because it's something that we talk about all the time. And I'm not sure if people have questions they haven't asked. Thank you very much. And thanks to all of you.
Thank you for having me, Pete.
Most welcome, Prof. It's your studio. I'm just a visitor. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to being with you again very soon. Remember, like, subscribe, and if you're feeling really adventurous, go to the website and buy something. Bye for now.